Alright, so finally doing a video again. I was not at home for a while and I just came home yesterday. So we are doing a rig ranking. I did one ranking in a tier list of the amps a while ago. That was a really long video. I kind of want to avoid that. So we will just quickly go over the 4 rigs that are currently in the game and just rank them where I feel they are at right now, what I would love to see with some of them, and so on and so forth. Also, as a heads up, I'm currently waiting for a package, so if there's like a really weird cut because there was an anxiety inducing bell and I have to go, then you know why. But yeah, starting off, XRay I think is still the worst right now. I think they're doing a good job doing like the last buff they did, last update was pretty nice, where they made it so, yeah, it has a bit of a shorter duration, but the cooldown is pretty much instant. That was a really good change. I know a lot of people disagree with that sentiment. Like, I disagree with them. Basically, you can use it more freely when you actually need it instead of, okay, I activate it, now I have that for a very long duration and then I have to wait longer even though I wouldn't need it. Now, what I would want to see with that, expanded upon, I mentioned that in a past video I think, is make it more of a resource meter type of deal. I can't think of a better example, but for example in Overwatch there are some heroes like Roadhog and Diva and these kind of characters that have like abilities like Defense Matrix and the Vape healing thing that have a resource meter, and if you only tap that, then you pretty much get the cooldown back instantly, but if you use it entirely, then the cooldown is obviously way longer. So I would love to see a dynamic like that. For example, I'm just pulling out numbers out of my ass again, but let's say for example, total duration of X-ray 6 seconds, total cooldown 60 seconds. So let's say you use it for the entire 6-second duration, the cooldown is 60 seconds. But if you only use it for 1 second, like turn it on, check real quick, turn it off immediately for 1 second, then the cooldown is only 10 seconds, you know? I would love to see something like that because that would be the best compromise of both worlds, that if people want to use it for a very long duration to run over the map real quick, then they can do that and, you know, suffer from a longer cooldown. And if you prefer how it is right now, where it's like a lot shorter but you get it back quicker, you can also use it like that. So I would love to see that. But yeah, other than that, unfortunately, X-Ray still doesn't bring that much to the table. Yes, it is nice to just see objects immediately. It's nice to see the documents if you want to collect them. It's nice to see the secondary objectives. I can say that because we had the Christmas present thing. But yeah, mainly for posters, it's invaluable. It's actually really nice to have X-ray for that. And you know, finding items here and there, looking into locked containers in advance to see what's in there and if it's worth lockpicking in case you want to do that. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't even have offensive capabilities like the other 3 rigs, so it's pretty iffy. But what I would love to see, I've also mentioned that in a few past videos, but what I just would love to see is, I don't think it would be game breaking if it allowed you to see objectives through walls. I don't think that would be game breaking at all. So in the case of Kill the Snitch, for example, you would be able to see the fuel canisters through the walls, the generators through the walls, and the bodies through the walls. Now, it wouldn't tell you which body is the correct one, obviously. Like, that's the part you should still be doing. But for example, you can then pop X-ray, go a bit around the map and be like, oh, there's a body, 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 there's a body. Okay, I can look in this area and I don't miss any obscure body. It's very good to counter the no intel variator that's currently very present in the current program X. So I would love to see that. That would also make it so it is viable to have someone in a team run X-ray to, you know, supply people with, you know, items and, you know, look for objectives further and so on and so forth. I think that would be a really good change. I don't want to see any offensive thing because it doesn't need that. I think it's as simple as, you know, making some of these few changes, and I think that it would actually be pretty good. Now the next one that's a bit better, but it's really tough to rank is heal. Because the thing about heal is that the better you're getting at the game, the less you will probably need it, because you take less damage the better you get at the game, unless you want to take damage on purpose, for example for amps like Quick Escape, which is, you know, valid strategies and shit. Now the thing is, the more advanced you get, the more you are more inclined to just use the heal for the gas ability to gas enemies. But for some reason they nerfed that last update, which by the way I still disagree. That's probably the one change I absolutely disagree with the most with update 4, when they nerfed the healing slowdown thing. It wasn't even that good. Like, there were some insane people out there that were like, oh my god, this is the best stun ability in the game, blah 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 blah. Like some really weirdos. No, it wasn't. And it didn't deserve to be nerfed. Like, I get that they wanted to be like, oh, the support character amp wig thingy, we don't want to make it an offensive tool, but it was just unnecessary. And currently, I think it is fine for what it does, because it is a full-on heal and full sanity recovery and whatnot. But other than that, it doesn't have that much utility. It is better than XRay because it has more immediate impact. And, you know, it brings more value immediately. Technically, you can always cheese through every trial with that if you just heal on cooldown every situation where you need to. But other than that, like the stun and stuff, that the healing that is still there and it's still okay-ish, but it's just not really that impactful, especially if you're getting better at the game. What I would love to see as a change is, this is either to complement the gas cloud, you know, the gas cloud stun, or as complete to remove the stun, and as a replacement, an ability that if you activate the healing thing and you have this gas cloud emitting from yourself, that you can tank a hit and not take damage. Which would have as a consequence, like, you can take one hit and not getting damaged, which would not show up in your grading and would have some synergies with Quick Escape, for example. And, you know, if you're in a sticky situation, you pop that and then you can run past the guy, for example. I don't know if that would be broken or not, but that would give it a bit more utility, especially considering that in my version that wouldn't count as received damage times 1 in the summary at the end. But yeah, I would love to see some sort of utility, because it's just in a really... It's not in a piss poor spot, because it still does what it's supposed to do, but especially for veteran players, healing is just not really worth it, and that's kind of sad. Okay, Blind, it's still good. It's the second best, and it's still decent. It has definitely fallen from grace. I'm not delusional, but it's still pretty good. You can still use it fairly well in a lot of situations, and, you know, you can use it in very common spots still. Most importantly in Snitch endgame, for example. You can still place that, play around the rearm time now, and still not 1 cycle but 2 cycles Snitch with ease. And you can also lock in the giant and kill the Snitch in the garage area. You will need more better positioning for that to happen, and potentially a brick and bottle in case it gets a bit hefty, but it still works fine. The main thing about blind, what I still see to this day, is people posting clips, oh my god, blind is garbage, and there's a guy right in front of them, and they're going like, yeah, I'm gonna drop it down any second now, and no, you are supposed to place that in advanced, strategically. You're not supposed to use that offensively, mid-chase. Which, that's probably the main root cause for a lot of people outraging about the constant nerfs blinds getting, because the developers are actually balancing it to be more what it was supposed to be, like a defense tool that you place down in advance instead of an offense tool. And now I could go on and on and on how that's fine, that the game is getting balanced and the mine gets nerfs, but I will probably save that for another video. But yeah, main point is, blind is still fine to use. You have to play a lot around the rearm time now, which is awkward. I would love for them to not make it equal to the smoke disappear time. Like, I think the smoke lasts now 12 seconds. I don't have the numbers in my head from the get-go. It's been a while since I, dealt with Outlast Trials, but I think the smoke is 12 seconds and the rearm time is currently 30 seconds still, how the smoke used to be. I would love to see them to be around 20 seconds maybe, so you can drop the mine, start electrocuting the snitch. Once the mine is in rearm state, you loop coil around a little bit, the mine rearms, you let them trigger that again, and you're good to go. Also, the blind mine also still does adrenaline, which is insane and really nice. And yeah, honestly not much else to say to that. It's still decent, you can still use it in a lot of situations if you use it in advance. Now, I don't know if they should touch this or if that would make it again stupid, but I would love to see some sort of mechanic where you can have multiple mines up at once, because that would maybe do more strategic things. Maybe you can make it so the rearm gets removed and you have an upgrade that you can have 2 mines up at the same time instead, let's say, for example. So if you wait out the cooldown, or if you have a rig recharger, you can kind of place a small minefield of sorts. I think that would be pretty cool personally, if you can make more strategic things around that. Or you don't need to remove rearm, maybe it's fine if you can just place them 2 down, period. But I would love to maybe see something like that, because that would create more of a dynamic. But for now, mine is okay and obviously still usable as is. And last but not least, let's talk about stun, which stun is the best currently, and it has a lot going for it. And in my opinion, and that's where I want to see the comment section, I don't know if everyone agrees with me, but I think if stun stays the way it is as the strongest, I think that would actually be fine, and there would be no problem with that whatsoever. So what stun does is, you throw a thing, it stuns enemies, it disarms traps, it creates noise. That's one thing that a lot of people don't, recognize more often than not. You can use the stun to stun enemies. That stuns, small guys, big guys for a long duration. It's the only tool that does that in the game, that stuns them for a long duration. So a lot of value there. It does stun Gooseberry for a long time. It does not stun Coil for a long time. However, you can also use the stun as a sound distraction tool, as an Omega bottle on cooldown. you even have an upgrade to encourage you to do that, that if you throw the stun and you don't hit an enemy, you have half a cooldown. That's an upgrade to the rig. And with that, you are able to go in scenarios where, okay, I need to distract this enemy, I'm just gonna throw my stun across the room and then they will treat this as if it is a bottle. And that's how you can also use the stun very effectively against coil, for example. So it has a lot of value there as well. Nothing else much to say there, I don't think. Yeah, have I forgotten something? But yeah, overall the stun is just a really good offense tool. It's a rig worth getting rig rechargers for. But also using the stun is just like, I don't think it's broken OP. I don't think it is, because it stuns enemies for a reasonable amount of time. It has a lot of utility going on, but you also have to get that utility down. Like, for example, if you want to use that in the stun against coil and you want to use the stun as a distraction item, you still have to think, okay, where do I throw that so it's, you know, the best spot possible, and so on and so forth. So yeah, very good rig right now. I would love for them to let it be as is. I mean, okay, that's probably biased, because I'm currently just enjoying using the stun right now a lot, because it's just very fun to also use it as a distraction item and basically doing a lot of stealthing around and, you know, using the stun as a distraction tool. But yeah, I think stuns, as far as it goes, is fine as is. Especially considering that strong arms, for example, still stun small guys longer than the actual rig. But yeah, you can make the argument that stun's cooldown is pretty long, which it is. But at the same time, because it is an offensive tool, like the offensive tool, maybe it is fine. And maybe the thought process is that if you want to use stun more frequently, you actually have to go out of your way to farm rig recharges, which, if they want to reduce the cooldown for stun, I think that would be fine, but I don't think it needs to happen personally. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the rigs right now. I'm still getting back a little bit into this whole video thing again. I've been away from home for a long time now, over Christmas, over New Year's. I just came home basically, and yeah, thank you everyone for stopping by. Pleasure as always. If you enjoy, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Outlast Trials content in the near future. And yeah, other than that, have a great rest of your day and take care everyone. Bye bye.